What up, everyone? This is Mr. Lord, Dr. Professor, Dark Joker, here with another edition of Traditional Fans with Opinions, where I'll give my reviews for whoever I watched, read, or played today. And who are Traditional Fans with Opinions? That is myself, and that is you, the viewers. With all that being said, on with the reviews. One Piece episode 1132. So this one, Kuma's gotten very reckless since, Ginny's been kidnapped, and then he gets a call from Ginny, and basically she's like, I guess she got sick and it basically was discarded by whichever celestial dragon forced her to marry him. And so Kuma realizes, but she doesn't say where she's at, but Kuma's gonna realize where she's at, so he goes to the church in Sorbet where they lived. And so he finds Ginny with all these like blue like jewel like things covering her body, and basically, and like she's very sick and she dies. Then he Kuma sees her kid, which is Bonnie, and he decides to raise Bonnie as his own. And so we see some a little bit of Bonnie's real life, her growing up. We see Kuma learning how to how to raise a kid, how she starts to crawl, and he's like, "Crap, I have to keep an eye on her." And he sees like when she calls her like she calls like him like daddy, like that makes Kuma start to cry because he's like, yes, yes. Then he learns that like she has the same Bonnie has the same disease that Ginny had, so she inherited it. So he's trying to figure out how to deal with that. And then like the king who was trying to enslave the people, like a lot of the people like previously, like years before. He's trying to do that again. So Kuma's going to deal with that and deal with the fact that he's raising a kid and who's gonna die by the time she turns 10. And so next so basically so yeah, it's really for this episode. So yeah, this was a very good episode. Like this is one of the reasons why people really were hyped to see the Kuma flashback because like all stuff with Bonnie and what happens. So yeah, I really like this episode. Looking forward to next week's. All right, One Piece chapter 1151. So this one, so Dorian Broggy, they've been turned to demons by Emu, and so other giants, are trying to figure out what the heck's going on because they're going to kill Drool, and some of them start getting turned into demons. So everyone's concerned about that. Scopper Gabon, of course, is injured, and Chopper and Gabon fall down to like the underworld where Luffy, Zoro, Loki, Hydrogen are at, and then like basically, Luffy's able to immediately get what's going on. He's surprised to learn that the old guy was part of the Roger Pirates, and then everyone's like, they know he was one of the wings of Roger. So they say they say he's probably the third strongest. Then Gabon, who's like, so he gives him no strength to say he's second strongest, which is freaking funny. Like, meant to, I guess, imply basically like Gabon and Rayleigh were probably like Zoro and Sanji with their rivalry. So like, basically competing to see who was second to Roger. I mean, which Rayleigh was number two. And so basically, so Luffy, Zoro, Hydrogen, they're ready to fight, and then Loki's ready to fight too. He's like, "Hey, you might need my help now," because he senses like the hockey, because like Imu like is trying to like subjugate Elric. Apparently, he tried. Sounds like he tried years before with Harald, and I guess Harald's death, I guess, put an end to that. So it gives an idea of why Loki killed Harald. So yeah, so it's like next week, hopefully, we're going to see like you know, like Next chapter, we'll see Luffy enter the fight and probably see him fight Emu for the first time. And yeah, that will be fun to see. So yeah, I really like this chapter. Looking forward to the next one. News Exorcist, chapter 101. So this one with the whole like death curse or something being put on Gakuro. So basically what happens is News idea is to do a whole training camp trip where Gakuro and all the girls, Issue included, basically go to train or to fight Suzuki to fight like Suzaku. That's the key. And then so they go on this bus. I don't know how they got a bus. Like I don't know where in the world New got that. And so and basically so there's like a ring that's glued on. So Issue gets a ring like basically so part of the idea. So News idea is to have rings like one's for Gakuro and Issue glues it on his finger. She has it, but that and hers isn't glued. So everyone basically New keeps it and says it'll go to who she thinks is the most appropriate girl. And then basically all the girls try to like bunch of girls try to flirt with Gakuro. Just see like how I wonder what is Shitatsu doing? Like, is she actually trying to get with Gakuro, or is she just there just to mess around, have and basically and get involved in the train? I don't. And then so then like some ability appears like a two other like Hio. Then it's like a ability that manifests and it manifests the ability where and so you have Yodama and Yokaku. And so their combined ability where manifests in the form of a baby. Basically, New explains that the ability will improve. He has to basically Gakuro has to nurture it, and basically, I guess it's on that is part of New's plan. So basically, like, what is that like? The ability will grow and manifest. Basically, will improve if the baby's father, which I guess is Gakuro, and the mother, which is one of the girls, care for it together. And so basically, the baby's ability will be the key to fighting Suzaku. And so basically, it looks like that's gonna be part of. I guess they have to determine who the mother is. I'm guessing they have to figure out who the mother is, and then we'll see what the heck's going on. Like that'll be how it worked. Like, yeah, okay. So yeah, they keep trying to extend this whole romance thing. I'm like, can we really just move on from it and go on to more combat? Because I don't care about the romance stuff. But yeah, I like it's a this is an interesting series. Like basically, so the whole thing. So there's a fun part where all the girls like basically everyone's these for everyone sits in the back and all the girls surrounding Gakuro. Gakuro starts glowing. I guess that's supposed to mean like arousal or something. Yeah. So it's not. I guess instead of nosebleeds, they're trying something else. So yeah, I. So this is kind of this is doing like what I think it was Motherland Fort Salem did in that one episode where basically where the two academies, the boys academy, girls academy, they all had a little like meet up, and basically the way to empower was arousal, where basically they powered each other's magic by basically a bunch of sex. So yeah, like so it looks like this is something similar to that, except not as explicit. So yeah, and I didn't watch Motherland Fort Salem after that first season. I was kind of done after that. But this manga, this is doing something similar, but it's like okay, can we just move on to the combat to fighting like the hero? That's what I want. I want to see the exorcism. Like just let's move on to the exorcism. So yeah, you know, it's interesting that we are close to getting to where actual combat. But I'm like, okay, let's push through this, get it done, and let's get down to combat. And I'm interested in the training stuff, the actual training. So I was like, okay, yes, the power stuff, the exorcism. That's what I'm interested in. So yeah, it's like whatever episode. It's a whatever chapter. You know, hopefully next week we can get this moved along sooner. I don't want to waste a lot of time with this. The Elusive Samurai, chapter 206. So, and this one basically deals with the aftermath of Kono's death. So Tadayoshi like gives some territory to Tokiyuki and goes back to Takachi. So some of the people under Tadayoshi like the guy with the pointy ears basically tells Tokiyuki that he doesn't like Taka basically it doesn't seem to like Takachi, but he's helping Tadayoshi out of obligation, out of loyalty. And so basically yeah, and it's revealed that Tadayoshi's son was like Neo it's revealed that he died. Like he just suddenly died. And it seems like Shizuku senses something around him, which probably means could have something to do with Takachi. And so Tadayoshi said he dreamed of Moriyoshi Shino, and he thinks that maybe the kid's death was punishment for plotting against him. Yeah, and then basically and then so basically Tayoshi's warned he if he just goes back to Takachi, he will meet his downfall, which I believe history says that is what happens. He meets his downfall, and that's gonna lead to a lot. So yeah, that's gonna lead to more of I guess the end game of this series, and then we're gonna and then and then so it ends with him in a meeting with Takaji and basically the dialogue not the dialogue box but like the narration box says that one of Takaji's most famous stories comes from whatever meeting is. And it's where Takaji seems to be isolated. Everyone signed with Takaji. Well, everyone signed with Tadayoshi, and then you know basically that lead so it looks like something is about to happen. And then then basically it feels like this is leading to the an interesting story, like whatever's gonna happen. And so Tadayoshi's about to die. It looks like he's about to die, probably. And then looks like I guess what to happen. Who knows how quick they're gonna go through it. And so yeah, so I enjoyed this chapter. Looking forward to the next one to see what happens because Tadayoshi's about to kick the bucket soon. And seeing how Tokiyuki and some of Tadayoshi's forces are going to react to it. So yeah, interesting seeing how that goes. Kagurabachi Chapter 82. So in this one, we see little from before with Uruha waking up. Basically, he was like resurrected by Samura, like something, but like his like eternal contract is like I guess severed from one of the swords, and so basically like so basically like so it's real that Samura's plan is to sever all the contracts between the sword bearers and the swords, and basically he play and but it can only work if but it and so basically I guess he has to resurrect them, and then like but if the someone dies then the spell doesn't work, so basically he can't put it on himself, so he plans to die alone. Then Uruha decides to help Hirohiko defend the defend the base, and then so well, and as Chiro tries to convince Samura to join him so that they can stop the malediction, stop the kill the sword master, and basically Chiro wants to find a way to do it without Samura dying, and then that leads to them starting their fight. So basically, next chapter is going to show a fight between you know Chihiro and Samura. So yeah, I really like this chapter. That was cool. The fight next week should be awesome. So yeah, looking forward to the next chapter. Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi chapter 47. So in this one, we see Kiyoshi fight Asuda Roth, and then basically it's a big fight. Both are shown to be very high powered. Everyone's reacting to like their high power levels. And we see Asuda Roth just enjoying it because he actually has someone who could stand against him in a fight. Kiyoshi just wants to exercise him. Then we have can't remember his name, but the human who sided with the demons, who like Sakaki knows. So basically, Sakaki and Kiyoshi each like they tell respectively the human who sided with the demons and Surat that they're going to exorcise them, and so they're about to like some of the fight. Well, we're in the end game. Some of the final fights are about to take place. And so yeah, I really enjoy this chapter. Like the fight looks cool. The visuals, the exorcism attacks, like really enjoyed it. Looking forward to the next chapter. Ichi the Witch, chapter 37. So in this one, we see Bakugami getting real concerned about Ichi and Gokuraku passing the test, and and so because Gokuraku's after like things like 8 orbs, he's able to handle all that, regain his sanity, and then so he's one, and then like you have Descaras and then like Descaras is like she comes up with an idea to like get all these people to pray away from Bakugami so that they can like basically help it to where Bakugami can't like add more like sadness to it. And so it's real itchy, like help him out. So Gokuraku was able to recover, like regain his sanity. So Bakugami's thinking he needs like one. If you can find a human who's sad or angry, or whatever, you can use them to add to it and basically possibly win the challenge and defeat Ichi and Gokuraku, which happens. So Richia, so Gokuraku's sister, appears at the end. So Bakami smiles, so it's implied that he's going to use her to try to defeat Gokuraku and Ichi. Now, I don't think it's going to work. I think they're going to win. But yeah, because like Ichi and Gokuraku at this point they're just having fun, like I guess fighting or something. So yeah, I really like this chapter. Look forward to the next one. See what happens with Richia. To see what happens to her. Like, does she does she reject Bakugami? Does she just accept him, like accept his like power or something? And yeah, looking forward to see what the rest of this challenge holds. Embers Chapter 18. So this chapter is more focused on Narima and Takumi. So basically, we see Narima like being concerned, like he can't predict Haitani. Like he can't predict him, like how he's able, and Takumi is like encouraged by Haitani. So the main character's presence is felt in this chapter, even though he's not necessarily the main focus. His two, I guess, rivals are like the main focus. So Takumi, so he swallows his pride and he's able to draw Nerima into a foul. Like he pulls, like he does foul bait, a little scummy move that, and basically everyone knows it's foul bait. The ref called a red card. So he's like the ref's the only one that doesn't know it's foul bait. Typical foul bait. The ref's the only one who doesn't know this. You know, I'm not a fan of foul bait. I personally think it's for pussies. And yeah, but despite that, it's thinking of foul baits for pussies. I thought it was interesting to use something that pisses people off in sports in a sport and actually use it in a sports manga because you don't see too much like foul baiting. At least I don't recall. Like I don't recall Blue Lock doing. I think I'm trying to think if Blue Lock did it. So it may have done it during the Super Egoist League arc. I'm trying to remember. Maybe did it once, but I can't remember. Well, no, it did. It did. You had the monk guy did it. He would bait Rin into a foul. But yeah, so basically, so Takumi and Embers does something similar. Now he doesn't try to use it as like his go-to, whereas the monk guy and Blue Lock did try to use it as his go-to because he's not good enough win to win fair and square. This is why he did not make the U20 team. Yeah, and so yeah, I like this chapter. I thought it was cool to see. It was interesting. Like it focused on side characters, but the main character's presence still felt. So that was interesting. So yeah, I really like this chapter. Look forward to the next one. Start Beethoven, chapter 17. So in this one, we see a flashback to like something in 1945 Japan. We see, there's this German girl playing a piano, and then and then there's a depressed Japanese guy named Kiyoshi also comes across her, and I guess they, befriends her. So the girl's name is Amelia Meyer, and then and there's something about I guess Kiyoshi also wants to build a school. So I guess it meant to imply that he's involved in the formation of the Riro Academy. So then we have where everyone is going to the Rio Festival, so present time. So you have all the students arrive. We see all of Yasuo's friends. They start gathering. So the pop star, can't remember her name, she arrives. She meets up with Yasuo's friend who's like I guess helping run the festival who's dressed as a maid. Yeah, so Oka yeah, dressed as a maid, and then she makes a pop store, and she asks, and then pop store asks like where to any VI there's any VIP sitting because I guess she and Ichiro Yasuo are close friends, and the maid and Oka's like what? And then everyone's like, oh crap, there's bloodshed about to happen. Like basically like there's like a cat fight or something. And so then now there's gonna be like a grudge match between Yasuo, then the guy who and Sakami who basically defeated him. So now we're gonna see like a rematch, and they're both playing like both Beethoven music. So yeah, this will playing you know so Sakami's playing piano sonata number 17, you know opening opening 31, the Tempest. So he's playing Tempest, and then Yasuo's gonna play the Moonlight Sonata, and then it's gonna be it looks like it. So now we're gonna see a bunch of music being played. So yeah, Beethoven's there to enjoy. The other two, those two people are there to monitor him. The two with the white hair, they're to monitor him to see like what they're like. I guess keep an eye on him. I don't know exactly what their exact role is. So yeah, I enjoyed this chapter. Looking forward to next week's. Go Go Loser Ranger Season 2, Episode 9. So in this one, Fighter D starts fighting some of like the monsters, and the Ranger forces find them. So basically, Fighter D is trying to like fight everyone. He's like, I'm a monster. I exist to destroy everyone's hope. So basically, he's like, I'm against everyone. So basically, then he ends up in this dream world. Like he and Yellow Ranger and some of the other Rangers end up in dream world. Basically, and it's revealed. Basically, Yellow Ranger reveals that he created the monsters. So the boss monsters, all the monsters were created by him. So the divine artifacts has some connection to like the dragon gods, or basically or basically so like and so what happened is that divine tools were created, divine artifacts were created out of humans. So they're made out of humans. All the monsters were created through experiments by Yellow Ranger, and it was to get the power of the yellow to get the power of the dragon gods. So that's what Yellow Ranger did, and so yeah, basically that's gonna lead to like everything, and like yeah, I really yeah, I mean it was pretty cool to see how so a lot of stuff's being revealed. So yeah, I mean everyone knows like she is. So yeah, this is gonna be so Yellow Ranger's just freaking crazy. Yellow Keeper's he's insane, and so that's gonna lead to a lot with what the divine artifacts are. Like, what are the dragon gods? What are their role? Are they benevolent? Are they evil? Like, that's gonna be an interesting thing to see. And so basically, it seems like the Rangers were all created to like acquire power of gods. So humans trying to be gods. So that if that goes public, that could cause some problems. And so some of the So like Ranger, so Fire D fights Tsukubo for a little bit. Then he fights Magadia, and like yeah, I man, like it just there's like some exposition drops. I was like, what the frick? But yeah, I really like this episode. Looking forward to the next week's. Nice Prison, Chapter 7. So this one, Mitsuhoshi finally comes across the super death row prisoner, which is revealed to be his father, Muho Mitsuboshi. And so he reveals that basically he formed a group called the Five Prison Gods to take over Nobanashi Prison and then take over all the world's prisons. Mitsuboshi says if the prisoners run the prison, it's not a prison anymore. And so, and basically, so Muho his attacks basically are similar, kind of similar to naming to Mitsuboshi's, where basically instead of saying super mall prisoner, attack, whatever, it's like death row prisoner attack. And so you have the five prison gods that he leads. So besides him, you have super female prisoner, Dazana. You have super escaped prisoner, uh, Inai the Desu, Dark Mall prisoner, Horror Dogs, woman who was at the bakery, Kazuko. So now Kazuko is just a placeholder. She was just randomly at bakery. And so now, and Wuho offers a spot in, Kazuko's spot. He offers it. Wuho offers it to Mitsuboshi. Mitsuboshi says no. Basically says he'll take him down. And then basically yeah, so like the five prison gods, like they escape, they walk away, they go back through like that door that Muho was summoned through, and so like yeah, so it does lead to the question: okay, what is Muho in prison for? So we know Mitsuboshi was raised in the prison by like his parents and then the guards. So what were his parents in prison for? That is a cool. What did they do? And so then leads to a question of they possibly could find basically they and so basically the new the ball and chain case is injured, and then basically I guess to help him they need Professor Prisoner who modified him, in order to fight, and then basically Nobod the warden that place doesn't know, and then the toenail guy then reveals that he's in Ogikubo, so which is a station that's not even inside the it's not even inside the prison. So I guess that means if they're gonna find Professor Prisoner, they're gonna need to find ways to send a message, smuggle a message to the outside, or break out. Now, one thing is you have the guard. So you have yeah. So I mean now probably wouldn't it make sense to have a guard who's not in trouble, like send a message out, and then yeah. So that's gonna be interesting to see what happens. Like, how are they going to get them? Is they going to get a message out? Are they going to break out? Which is going to be interesting. So Tara, like, is she going to have to walk out and leave the group for a little bit, or will they get another guard, or will they have to smuggle? You know, like smuggle him out. Like, I guess we're supposed you're gonna try to break out in order to do like, which I don't think he will. But yeah, I enjoy this chapter. Interesting, like that you know they're using the parents. So to see like, okay, what is the father in prison for? If he seemed like such a nice guy, why was he in prison? So now we're gonna see what he's in prison for. So I enjoyed this chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Spy Family, chapter 117. So in this one, Yor continues her fight, against, against Hemlock, and then like Hemlock's like, you've gone weak since you've joined the family. Like it basically, he's like cut off all ties. He doesn't have any tie. Hemlock doesn't have any ties. He thinks that solitude is the way to best serve as a member of the Guardian. He believes connections make people weak, and that's why basically apparently he admired your like earlier careers as a Thorn Princess, but when she joined, like when she became part of like the Forger family, he basically thought she had gone soft and gone weak. So he tries to kill her, and we all know he's trying to kill her because of that. Then he says he'll in his word he'll prune the Forger family, I guess, to get rid of all her connections, and Yor gets pissed. She's like she gets pissed when he's like she's like don't forget touch my family. So and she beats the crap out of him, and so Hemlock's excited. He's like, yes, I can prove I'm superior by defeating the real Thorn Princess. So Yor just beats him up. Like there's like a big knot on his head. She doesn't kill him. No, but then they get like I guess they see like a Director McMahon's bird, and I guess Yor's like, oh, we gotta get, looks like he's found the poacher, so we gotta go. So she like drags Hemlock along, and Hemlock's shocked at basically at the fact that he lost. And she's like, "Hey, please, don't target my family again." And so yeah, I'm sure that's gonna be that victory for yours gonna be brought up next chapter, and I'm sure McMahon is if he sees the knot on Hemlock's head, he's probably gonna have some questions, or at least have a good idea of what went down. So yeah, I really like this chapter. Looking forward next week, see what happens with the poachers. I think with it being near the border, I think it's gonna end up potentially having a big effect on some East-West relations, which could lead us to some of the end game for like this series, which I think we're close to anyway. So yeah, really like this chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Ballerina. So this is a spin-off of the John Wick series. So this one starts out with a character named Eve Macaro as like a young girl. So her father Javier is a Kikimora for the Roscaroma, so the group that like John Wick was a part of. And so Javier basically married this member of this cult, and I guess for some reason, basically, Javier took Eve away from the cult because, like, basically, whatever was going to happen, he wanted Eve to have a life away from the cult, and Eve's mother was killed because of that. Now, the mother is never given a name in this movie. Then the chancellor of the cult leads a group to retrieve Eve and tax, her and Javier, like, where they're staying, and basically, Javier is wounded. Javier helps Eve escape, but he dies. But Eve's able to see the mark on, like, her father's killers, so she knows who to look for. And then, basically, now then the owner of the New York Continental, Winston, who knew Javier, like he like when so Winston Scott, by the guy played by Ian McShane. He, I guess, knew Javier's father, whether it was in person or just by reputation, who knows. So he takes Eve to the Ruscaroma, which was Javier's family, and Eve like you know meets the director and starts her train as like a ballerina and as a Kikimora assassin or bodyguard, depending on the job. And she trains under the director and Nogi. And sometime during her train, she actually meets John Wick. This is like during the events of, you know, John Wick 3. And, basically, it's like that bit's almost like a side story. Is like John Wick's time when he meets the director in John Wick 3. And John Wick tells her to abandon, like to just leave, don't get involved in anything, like leave like the assassin life. And she obviously does not, or else there wouldn't be a movie. And so Eve graduates, and how she does it, she has to kill like one of the older like Kikimora, and then on her first assignment, she protects this heiress named Catla Park who was at a nightclub partying. Then after, and she does some more contracts after one of her contracts. She's attacked by some assassin, and she kills the assassin, and it's revealed that that assassin is a member of the cult once he sees the mark. And she asks the director about the cult. Director says no because basically that the Ruscaroma can't get involved with the cult because of there was a truce that's lasted for like things like 200 years. So Eve is forbidden from doing it, but she disobeys and goes and asks Winston for help. Winston says that a cultist named Daniel Pine is at the Prague Continental with like a $2 million bounty. So Eve goes there, books a room, and tries to find Daniel. Well, tries to find Daniel Pine, and then, but some of the cultists are there trying to find him, led by someone named Lena. And basically, they're waiting for the bounty to be fulfilled. And then Lena sees Eve like there's a sniper who sees Eve entering the room, and basically sees that like Eve you know and Pine are just talking, especially like after like so basically what happens is so Pine has his daughter with him. Reason he's there because like he's Pine tying his daughter from the cult. He has want his daughter involved, and since Eve is not killing Pine, she's just talking to him. Lena has the bounty doubled to $4 million, which a lot of the assassins decide to break the continental rules to get that 4 million. Leads to a firefight, and so like then Pine's wounded, and then Eve is incapacitated by Lena, and Ella's kidnapped by the cult. And so the Prague Continental staff they spare Eve and kill the two assassins who did break the rules. Since Eve was just defending herself, she's spared since she didn't kill. Now, of course, she was planning to at first, or at least possibly kill and break the rules. Like that was a possibility. So if she had done it, she probably would have been killed as well if she had actually tried to kill killed Pine. So then Eve goes to purchase weapons from an arms dealer named Frank. The cult attacks the shop and they fight them off. And Frank gives her a rough estimate of where the cult's like base is at. It's not known because everyone's trying to find it has gone missing. And so Frank gives her a car, gives her a rough location. So Eve heads to the town of Hallstatt in Austria, and then she's attacked by members of the cult, so she has to kill a bunch of them. But she's captured and she's brought to the Chancellor, who learns, basically everyone the cult learns about her being Ruska Roma, which leads to chance of war. So Eve reveals who she is to the Chancellor, and Chancellor says that Pine is his son, and that which makes Ella his granddaughter. So Chancellor remembers who Eve was and makes him realize that Eve is Lena's sister. So Lena was Javier's daughter, who basically had already become like fully indoctrinated in everything, and within the way, like within the life in the cult now. And then like because basically like the reason Javier didn't take Lena with him is because she was like basically already indoctrinated, while as Eve was not. So he took Eve instead of yeah. So Lena learns about it. She helps Eve, and they talk. She reveals to Eve that they're like that she's her older sister. Then so some of the cults like members throw grenades to where they're talking. Lena and Eve are talking, and Lena's killed. Eve escapes, and then Chancellor calls a director to like tell her that there will be war between them if even though Eve had gone rogue and was not doing what the Ruscaroma had wanted. And so to potentially avoid a war, the director sends John Wick to kill Eve, and John arrives to Hallstatt and easily defeats Eve. Like, and he's like holding back. Like he's holding back. He's able to easily like beat her, and he spares her. Like he could have killed her multiple times over. And so John like agrees to like give her like a little less than 30 minutes to kill Chancellor. So basically, she has till midnight, or else John will kill her, because that's the deadline for if she's not dead, there will be war between the cult and the Ruska Roma. So Eve starts killing a bunch of cult members, and then John gives some help, and then he's attacked by some cults. He easily kills them, and so the Chancellor tries to flee the area with Ella, but Eve confronts him. The Chancellor starts taunting Eve, saying how like yeah, she was born to kill her, blah blah blah, and Eve just taunt like, and Eve like kills him and then saves Ella. John tells director of the Chancellor's death, and she's glad that there's no war. Okay. Yeah, and then Ella is reunited with Pine at the New York Continental, and Eve seeks a refuge there for a little bit. Then the cult, what's left of it, puts like a $5 million bounty on Eve, and Eve learns about it when she gets a notification about it. While Tatiana, who was a one of the ballerinas who she had befriended during her training, who had basically been kicked out of the Kikimori stuff. So when Eve learns about the bounty, she leaves. And that's it. So this was a decent movie. There was some plot there's some plot holes. Like so, biggest one is with John Wick. Now, if this was set before the first movie, and if this was set like back when John was still an official member, still doing assassin jobs, there wouldn't really be a plot hole. Like if this was a prequel, there wouldn't be a plot hole, really. But the fact that it's set during and after John Wick 3, that's where the problem, because so during the final bit when John comes in near the end, reason the plot is because he's excommunicado, and the director had already gotten in trouble for helping John Wick. Like she got injured, like in John Wick 3. Like, I mean, Like she had already gotten hurt pretty bad, and so there is the only way this can make sense is if there was a is if part of the plan was for John to be killed as soon as if the director got an okay from the table for to and it would just been a simple sentence. Hey, this guy, as you know, John Wick is excommunicado, so you can kill him in order to keep the secret. Whereas I'm not gonna waste any of my let you kill any of my other people, and that would have made sense. Like say, and if that especially that's when she got permission for the table to do, say, hey, well, let's let John do a contract and see if let the cult kill him. That was something that was approved. That was a fit on my table in order to it was a way for her to either get rid of the cult, which probably a lot of the other families would like to do with, or get rid of John. You know, that works for either way for them. Then they'll deal with John, they'll deal with John if he ends up if the cult's done with. So yeah, I mean that could have been explained better. And the Lena stuff, that was a waste of time. Like there is no reason to have her be Eve's sister, especially since it wasn't developed really at all. So so Javier just leaves Lena there. Yes, Lena had already killed someone, basically part of the cult, but they could have explained it better. If it was like he tried to save Lena, but couldn't, and could only save Eve, and that's why, unlike the only one that Javier could save was Eve. That the Lena and her and Eve's mother were not able to be saved. So Javier had no choice but to leave with just Eve. That'd been one thing. That could be simple. Just a simple sentence that says, "Hey, Javier could only save Eve. No one else could have been saved." Or I mean, and they could. I mean, it made more sense to just leave out this sister plot point and just have Leah just be another cult member who just gets killed, who Eve kills during her warpath. Now, as far as one of the issues that has become common in a lot of fight scenes in recent years is how Hollywood, for the most part, does not acknowledge the difference between men and women. As far as upper body strength, how the bone structure and all muscle structure. So this movie does. So there's a scene where in the beginning, they're in the train bit where basically Eve is told that she will never have a physical advantage over the men. Like she will always be at disadvantage. But since it's her job to fight, and kill people, she cannot use that as an excuse. So basically, it's basically for Eve, it has to be fight smarter, not harder, because she's going against men. For a lot of these male assassins, she cannot fight harder than them, but she can fight smarter, and that is how she wins those fights. And I mean, she has weaponry with her to help, but I mean, she gets beat down a lot. Like, and, she's taken a lot of beating, so she can get back up easier. And so they make it make sense as far as a lot. Now, I mean, there's a lot of stuff like the hose versus the flamethrower bit. That is probably not realistic at all. I don't plan on testing that. That'd be something MythBusters would need to do if MythBusters was still a thing. That would be something MythBusters could try to see if what happens when a flamethrower and a fire truck hose basically they collide. What happens there? Also, I kind of actually would want to see that happen though, to see what would actually happen in real life. But anyway, but and, the Chancellor, interesting villain. Not given a name like a lot of characters in John Wick. There's a lot of characters who are not given names. You have like like the director, the elder. You have like the marquis. There are characters in the John Wick franchise who they're not given names. They just have titles, and that's all we know them as. And that's basically all we need to know about them. So yeah, I mean the chance and the whole bit of how the Chancellor dies, that was kind of dumb. Like, so he's like taunting. I'm like you don't even have weaponry with you. You're basically an assassin organization slash cult. You don't have a weapon with you. Like, really, you don't have a weapon? That is freaking retarded. And you're taunting someone who does have a weapon, who really wants to kill you. Like, it is retarded. That part was retarded. So, like, I mean, and what will happen with this? If there's a John Wick 5, I mean, this is probably meant to potentially lead into her, like, Eve being a supporting character in that. That'd be my guess. You know, like some form of sequel, whether it's, actually John Wick 5 or just a sequel with another character. Like, because this whole world, this criminal underworld that's been built up over the course of these movies, there's a lot of characters you can work with, whether it's some of the characters that have been introduced in each movie, whether it's like some new characters. Like, there's a lot you could do with this world. Like, there's a lot. So like I mean, I get why they brought Keanu Reeves back. Some nostalgia. Because I mean, a lot of people most people like Keanu Reeves. He's a well-respected actor. I mean, I don't know if I could. I mean, he's probably close to where you could almost call him a movie star because of the amount of respect he has. It's not like Tom Cruise level of respect. I mean, no one is at Tom Cruise's level, but Keanu Reeves has a lot of respect. So I understand why they brought him back. So the acting was fine, and yet and yeah, thought this was a good movie. Now it's like due to a lot of issues with like plot holes and stuff. I would say it's like the bare minimum of good, but I say it's still good. Odor of the Flame, Chapter 5. So in this one, Odor is, training, under 610, and then basically, he's trying to summon heroic vigor, which sounds something similar to hockey. It's like his willpower, like it's supposed to give him strength, and so yeah, I mean, so basically, we're seeing the train trying to use his power, and then there's some issues. So then Perko, the other kids there, who just calls Oder kid despite being a kid as well, just offers to train him instead. So Perko trains Oder, actually explains heroic vigor better. It's like the balance between relaxation and tension. So Oder tries to come up with that, figure out what that is. Basically, she like beats him up. Perko beats him up a lot, and then one of the things that happens is, and so basically she explains that the whole like heroic vigor, he was able to summon that during his fight against the Ice Kingdom. So he has to recreate what caused it. And he's able to do it once at the end, and she compliments on it and says, "Still an accident," and you're a little surprised, but you now need to be able to do that consistently and at will. So that's basically going to be the rest of this training. Seems to be he's able to do all that consistently. So relatively quick training, storyline. If you with the whole the axe, like how like last series that Shonen Jump get canceled pretty early by Suisha. Like Suisha, yeah, they probably are trying to get through this training a little quick, which is understandable. But yeah, I really like this chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Phineas and Ferb, Season 5, Episodes 1 through 10. So now on cable, Disney Channel, they just released the first 2 episodes on the premiere date, but the day after, like on Disney Plus, they released all 10 of the first 10 episodes. So we have, so yeah, so then, and this, so it basically it's the next year, so it's the next summer. So basically, it starts off with Phineas and Ferb finishing presenting like all what they did. So basically, it was like full school year long report, and then just in time for summer to start. And then everyone started. So basically, Doctor Doofus is also returned to his evil ways, so he's trying to use Nether. And so basically, we just see like everyone do all their stuff. Like basically, it's back to basics now. And so we see like some of the things. So one of the, I guess recurring jokes is Buford like wants to like basically he wants this random like the bread bowl like hot tub. It's just I guess it's like a Buford I guess multiple episodes says he wants a bread bowl hot tub, but they end up never doing it. So I guess that's a new running gag they're trying to do. And yeah, now it hasn't happened. I imagine that's probably something we'll see. And then but yeah, we see different we see like a different project. So for example, that things for build. So for example, they build they try to help set up like for like I guess the summer party, whatever to celebrate summer starting. Then they make a submarine out of a sub sandwich, which gets eaten. It's probably not a good idea. Then then they then things where they make gear, climbing gear, based off of geckos. Which in that one, this is when Candace is doing her driving test, trying to bust him, and she passes, partly due to the fact that her test proctor, had sisters he wanted to try to bust throughout his childhood. And we also have like giant circular ice pathway that basically is just to go on like different like those like wooden sleds. So the things for their friends while Candace tries to ski across it. There's a whole bit where Dr. Shamai, who's like Candace Dr. Dooser's therapist, like basically due to the fact that the Flynn Fletcher family has Perry as a pet, and then Dr. D has a nemesis named Perry. Shamai tries to research both since she's their therapist to see what the ties are, and basically Perry's able to hide it because if all that was exposed, Alka would have been exposed, so that leads to him being seen as crazy. And while that's going on, things where they're doing the giant disco ball, and then yeah, so then and then there's like this random like zoetrope thing that basically keeps rolling called Trophy McTropeface. It like does random crap. And there's like a whole song like there's like a Michael Bublé song. Now I don't know if it was actually Michael Bublé or if it was a just someone voicing him, like doing random stuff. I was like, why is everyone singing about a freaking zoetrope? And it's funny, you have like, and he even catches this thing called the Mother Mugger, which steals umbrellas, which that's real to be a news anchor. And so then, they build a, then, the Phineas Ferb build a very complex bookcase for Lawrence after his old one collapses. And, then there's a whole bit where they take, Perry to the vet to get groomed, and there's like, I guess, a big day or something. And there's a whole bit where Perry could get microchipped, so Dr. D tries to microchip him and fails. And so Finsford do create something to like help the pets like relax and hang out, and they decline to have Perry chipped. Now it turns out Ferb is chipped for I guess one time he went feral. Then then they do rocket powered lacrosse. Yeah, and and you have a whole bit that like while Perry's dealing with it, like Carl has some part-time jobs he does to actually pay for rent because he's an unpaid intern. And then yeah, and then there's a whole bit where they're helium balloons. There's a lot of the weird stuff. Then like I guess then there's an episode I guess where the Isabella Fire Circles are trying to decide between I guess vanilla cupcakes and red velvet cupcakes, what to take to some like fireside, cupcake jamboree. Like and there's like a whole argument where they even start like burn the inside of their little troop house, whatever clubhouse starts getting burned. Things Verb just don't get involved. They see it, they're like, we're out. Isabella's trying to do it because she's like in charge because it's I guess Mrs. Firehouse cannot make it there, so she's placed in charge. And then like it turns and this way there's this whole like heavy metal like song. They all start to see like some heavy metal song while the whole clubhouse is burning. Guess what they end up deciding is to like just have red velvet cupcakes with vanilla frosting. I don't know what the frick that has to do. It's weird. And you have giant pogo stick that thing's for a build. There's a whole thing where Stacy, since she knows Perry's secret identity, and Perry's like gets captured, and Stacy helps her. When Doctor Diminutive helps Hines like capture Perry as a way to get some prize money. There's a whole thing with like basically like where Face Ferb are not there. Like and so Isabel, Balji, and Buford build something on their own. And it's whole thing where like Perry like has to I guess there's a microchip in all the Alka agents' hats, so he has to seek a haberdasher in order to fix the hat. And there's a whole thing where they built a set. Things were built a set to help Baljeet prepare audition for a space adventure movie. Space adventure. It's an adventure in space, and you know this and basically like yeah. And so then we have the Meet Me in St. Louis. So the third like I guess in the Meet trilogy where they show the scenes, and there's like a joke where like this with the Susie stuff is gonna happen, Susie versus Mito's gonna happen. Yeah, it doesn't happen, but they joke that about it. And so they once they get through all like the scenes, and there's no like pre fake trailer in this one. There's like, yeah, we're done. And I guess there's something where they do something with a slumber or some slumber party thing. You have like Vanessa and Stacy like stay in Kansas room, then you have Isabella, Balji, Buford, stay with Phineas and Ferb. So you have two slumber parties going at the same time. Then after you have something where I guess there's something where Bubba who's like Heinz Duversmirk's cousin, captures Perry, tries to eat him, thinks he's like a basically wants to take what he calls the Tri Swamp area. Yeah, so it's weird. It's definitely a weird one, but yeah, I like these. I mean, this for the most part, it's fine. So basically, like yeah, so like there's like a whole thing, and like yeah, there's a whole bit like I guess there's something with like with Buford having the mold. So I guess the molds are used to make suits out of people. So there's a whole thing where everyone gets a bunch of Candace suits. It's definitely freaking weird. So yeah, these episodes. I mean, so it's not the level of like the first two seasons. Heck, I wouldn't say it's at the level of the good episodes of season three. But for the most, it's decent. It's fine. The music's good. The animation's good. I mean, I think it's a decent start. It's a good start. It's definitely better than season four. Gosh, season four sucked. For the most part, season four sucks. But for a start, especially with current day Disney, you know, standards are pretty low. Is about what's good for Disney. So there's some things like some characters not gonna be like they. Everyone knows Jeremy's not gonna be in this show as much, which makes sense because they closed the plot line of him and Candace, so it makes sense that his role will be small because that's what they did in the first four seasons. Once basically once Candace and Jeremy started dating, Jeremy stopped appearing as much because they closed that plot point. There wasn't much need for him to appear. I mean, because that was his main role, and that's smart. They closed that plot line. I mean, he was never a major role anyway, but when he did appear, it was only for that. So they just decreased his role once they closed that plot point because it wasn't needed to bring it up all the time. And it was, and so basically now with other characters, and then we got more to do it. So Candace always failing to bust Phineas Ferb, and so we're not seeing Vanessa trying to expose Hines to you know, Charlene, her, Vanessa's mother, Hines' ex-wife. So yeah, I mean, it's it's fine. I mean, there's some good stuff. There's some good stuff. There's some that like it's mid. There's not anything like really bad. I mean, you can tell they don't have as many ideas as they did previously. You can tell that that the creators don't like Jeff Swampy Marsh, Dan Povenmire. They don't have as much like creativity as they used to back when the show started. So they are going very bottom of the barrel. So there's not as much ideas what to do. But yeah, as far as start, it's fine. It's not really offensive. It's just, it's decent. But yeah, I'm interested in seeing what else they do with this show. Does it stay like, does it get better? Does it get good? Does it get really bad? Like, do they make some, like, does it just turn really, like, I hope it doesn't get bad. But yeah, I'm interested in seeing what the rest of the show holds. Because I think it's supposed to be two seasons with 20 episodes, so there's 10 left. And yeah, I'm interested in what the rest of the show holds. Rick and Morty, Season 8, Episode 3. So, this one, you have Rick and Morty going to the Citadel, and you have Morty playing with the fidget spinner. Yeah, basically Rick they go there, get the Citadel, get some stuff, and basically it's like a definitely Citadel's definitely changed, so you have like a bunch of Ricks and Mortys doing like ransoms. So you have like they see like this farmer Rick, and then you have all these Mortys. I guess the Morty area is kind of like the ghetto per se. So after Rick and Morty leave, it just focuses on the one people at the Citadel. So you have a gang of Ricks, you know, abduct a bunch of the Mortys. Basically, they're like trafficking them, and you have this like prospector who was I guess was a clone created to run a gumbo shop, but Citadel basically was destroyed and all that. So the prospector stuff obviously, so like the gumbo shop did not happen. So like this prospector was like this basically your fat, stereotypical rich like plantation guy. So it's totally like a joke about slavery and all that. Yeah, yeah. South Park did that joke first with Cartman dressed up as a prospector. So yeah, so Farmer Rick and two more of these they team up. So basically, so a lot of these Ricks they steal Farmer Rick stuff. Farmer Rick wants to go there to kill the Ricks and get his stuff back, while the Warriors want to save their friends. So due to the fact that they have mutual enemies, they ally and try and do all this stuff. And it's revealed that Farmer Rick was one of the was like heavily involved in the creation of all the clones. So basically, he was like the big man in charge of making all the clones. And so Farmer Rick then like does like a job, like creates some clones, and then he like he then basically like he creates this like Morty monster that like kills a bunch of them. So like all the Ricks get killed. Ricks, and then like Farmer Rick gets injured, and he talks Prospector Rick, and then like he blows both of them up in order to, and then like so I guess in Farmer Rick's house, one of the Mortys lives there. Then Rick and Morty like return that farm because they're trying. I guess Morty dropped his fidget spinner. Then Morty finds it, and then they leave. So yeah, I mean, this is definitely not a funny episode. I mean, this season has not had a lot of humor for whatever reason. I don't know. That's just the writers just not wanting to be funny or something. But this has definitely been the least funny season of Rick and Morty so far, but it's not terrible. So like this is the best episode of the season, and yeah, I mean it was decent. I mean, not the level of like I mean, it's still not the level of like classic Rick and Morty. It's definitely a hell of a lot better than that Rick and Morty anime thing that should never been called anime. But yeah, I like this episode. Interested seeing how next week's goes. Well, that's it. Did y'all like the stuff I reviewed? And if you have your own opinions about all that, you can put all that in the comments. Thank you for watching, and like, subscribe, and all that. And look forward to the next video.